guys, I'm John from Let's Talk, and today we're going to be doing a brand new Criterion Blu-Ray review. This time we're talking about The Worst Person in the World. But before we dive into that, if you're a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, TV reviews, game reviews, we try and do them all here on this channel, and nothing helps us out more than by liking this video and hitting that subscribe button. So The Worst Person in the World is directed by Joachim Trier, and it is also co-written by him, and it stars Renate Reinsve in the lead role of Julie. So this movie came out originally on July 8th, 2021 at the Cannes Film Festival. Reinsve actually won the Best Actress Award at the Cannes Film Festival last year, and this film also received Academy Award nominations for Best Original Screenplay and Best International Film. And it took me a while to get around to this. I was going to watch this originally last year, and then I just never got around to it for some reason. I wanted to see it before the Academy Awards, and then I saw that they announced a Criterion Blu-ray release for this, so I decided I'm going to wait until that comes out and then review that for this channel. And I am glad I got around to seeing this, because this is a fantastic film. It deserved all the awards it got, and probably then some. If I had seen this last year, this easily would have cracked my top 5 2021 films. This is a fantastic film. It's so well written, it's so well acted, it is actually beautifully shot, which I wasn't expecting. I can definitely recommend the film completely, just right off the bat. Now, we're going to talk some light spoilers. I don't want to spoil this movie. This is a Norwegian film, so it does actually have subtitles, so if that's something that might be a turn-off for you, I know for a lot of people, I know that's something that they don't like. It does take away from them watching the film, but this is a Norwegian film, and it's a very well-made one, so if you can get around that, I can totally recommend this film. You're gonna get your socks blown off, is the best way I could put it, because I did not expect to love this film as much as I did. This movie actually made me look in at myself, because I'm going to take you through. So the basic plot follows Julie. She's in her early 20s when we first start. She's a medical student, but she's lost. She's lost in her life. She doesn't know if that's what she wants to do. And then she ends up meeting a comic book writer who she ends up falling for, but she doesn't actually end up, she ends up actually leaving medical school and becoming a photographer and a writer, and following this guy and living with him and starting a relationship with him. It's making her feel good again, making her feel happy. But as time goes on, she starts to not be happy in this relationship, and she ends up actually starting another relationship with another man. But that's not the whole point of this movie, is talking about her relationships. It's actually talking about her life, and like what it means to be in your late 20s and early 30s and not having found yourself. That's really what this movie is about, and that's really what actually struck me, because I am 30 years old, and I can tell you that I don't believe that I have truly found myself until recently, and it's very hard to find yourself. You think you're on one path, and you think you're on the right path, but you realize it's not making you happy, and you're trying to be happy. So you're trying to find and you're allowed to experiment with things and try new things, and you got to allow yourself to experience that before you find yourself, or you're just going to end up having an unhappy life. And that's really what Julie is trying to do. Julie is trying to find out what makes her happy. Is it going to be family? Because the guy that she's with in the beginning part of most of the movie, he's older than her by about 15 years. So he already knows what he's doing. He's on his path. And he even says before they start dating that she is too young for him because she hasn't found herself, and she's going to end up becoming frustrated in their relationship because he's set in his ways and she is not. And then we also have her in another relationship with another man who feels more similar to her, and is probably closer to age with her. But then, it's the same kind of thing. We all go through that phase when we should first start relationships. If you're in a relationship where the beginning is great, it's that new love kind of feeling, that hopefulness that everything is going to be different than the time before, but we all get set in our ways and we all just get comfortable, and we end up becoming the people that we truly are. When you become comfortable in certain situations, it ends up leading to sadness and depression, and that's what this film is trying to illustrate as well. And I really do believe, from a philosophical standpoint, and just from the fact that this movie made me look in and made me emotional at points, because I don't want to spoil every aspect of this film. I really do think that you should take this in whenever you have the chance to. Besides the Criterion release, I believe it is on Hulu, so you should watch it if you can at all means, because this is just a great film. Films like this are what really drives me to love film. I appreciate the 80s blockbusters. That's what really got me into movies, or movies like Pulp Fiction. But the movies that really make me reflect on my own life, I always cherish to be the most special kind of films, and that's what this film is. One that can make me reflect on what I have done in my life and make me feel good that, hey, it's not easy for everybody. It's hard for everybody. And it just shows you in this movie that it's hard for her, and eventually she does find what makes her happy. Just like experiences in my own life where it feels like you haven't completed anything and you just keep going from one task to the other because you don't know what exactly you want to do and what's going to end up making you happy, and that's the goal. So there is some great needle drops in this film as well. Just to get off as far as the plot, this movie actually has some great music in it, some great original scores, some great songs on the soundtrack that really actually made this film. It's not a very slow moving film, it's actually paced very well, and the music helps to move the plot along at an extremely, I would say it's not a rapid pace, but at a very good pace. It's not a slow burn kind of a movie. It's actually a very well-paced movie. It's a very well-edited movie. It's a very well-shot movie. There's some scenes where they linger on the outside and you have some great background scenery where the sky is blue and pink and it just looks gorgeous. Or some shots from the ceiling where you get to look at the floor and it's a wide shot. And those shots are set up perfectly, and it really does contrast to a lot of the interior shots of the rest of the film, where we actually spend a good portion of the movie like in apartments or in hallways or staircases and stuff like that, or restaurants. And then there's also some great actual fantasy sequences in this film, which are very well, there's two of them, and they might seem a little out of place, but they are perfect. Both come from different scenarios, so they're not actually repeating themselves and doing the same thing twice. There's also two great montages in this movie, one of which is early in the movie talking about, and it really does show how much we've changed from a 30-year-old through the decades and such. So like if her grandmother had 2 kids by 30, her great-grandmother had 3 kids by 30, her great-great-grandmother had 4 or 5 kids at 30, and then you have her great-great-great-grandmother whose life expectancy was only 35 at that time, and she died at 30. It was pretty much a full life. And her at 30, she hasn't even found herself. And that's just showing how the world has changed through the years, and I love that they put that in this film, because those montages really do help, like I said, drive the plot along, and it really does help to pace the movie perfectly. Because this is just a very well written, very well acted, very well shot film, with a beautiful story underneath it all. I can't recommend this from a film standpoint more than, there's just nothing else I could say. This is almost as close to a perfect film that I have seen in a very long time. It's something that I woke up this morning, I watched it last night to do this review, I went through the whole Criterion collection, it's been on my mind ever since, and you know that's the sticking point of a really good movie, so I could definitely recommend this from a film standpoint, 100%. Definitely run out and check this out if you haven't seen it yet. If you have, please let me know if you like it too. But I know why you guys are here. We're here to talk about this Criterion Blu-ray, so let's dive right into that. This is actually a very quick turnaround for Criterion, because this film just came to Cannes Film Festival July 8th of 2021 and is getting its Criterion Blu-ray release on June 28th, 2022, so it's less than a year since the film has actually been officially premiered. And Criterion put out this Blu-ray because I feel like that is the biggest way that people are going to see this film. Criterion is the leader in leading foreign films and bringing them to countries like America, where a lot of people here don't get to see a lot of these films, and especially I wasn't around in the 80s, but I know that it was extremely hard to find VHSs of foreign films, so you had to really do your work. Like, people were discovering Acura, not realizing how great it was because it was just so hard to get a hold of foreign films. But now, with Criterion, we always can get some of the best foreign films, and Criterion always picks the most important films that you should see, and I believe that's why we're getting such a quick turnaround and getting The Worst Person in the World Blu-ray from Criterion. That's because this does not have a 4K release. The only options you have are Blu-ray or DVD. And it's your standard Criterion packaging. It's the clear case that we all know with the bind number on the side. So this one is number 1132. And it's got some nice artwork on it. Like, I love that Criterion always uses original artwork for their stuff. It's not just a movie poster, but that's something that Criterion just does really well. It's got a nice covering. The inside is actually a lot more colorful than the outside. I love that. I love that the artwork again on the interior with the yellow bindage. It's just one disc, not multiple discs. It's a one disc Blu-ray set. That's all you get. You get a nice booklet with it too. A really nice booklet, actually. And again, featuring this artwork that's featured on the outside and the inside with the with that animation. I think it's very well done. And now the disc itself. So this is a brand new 2K intermediate, so this is actually going to be a little bit downscaled for a 1080p Blu-ray, because this is not a 4K Blu-ray, so you can expect that, but it's a really nice transfer. This is Criterion's Blu-rays look almost as good as 4K. Obviously, we're not going to get HDR on there, but if they still come out really good. I watched this on my OLED TV last night. It still looked beautiful. Is it top of the line? No, obviously we're not going to get that because it doesn't have the 4K or the HDR, but as far as the Blu-ray, it did look really nice. This does have a DTS HD 5.1 surround sound on it. Again, with the music, there's a lot of good needle drops in this film, and those were when the 5.1 really shined, because for the most part, this is a quiet, dialogue-driven film. There's no action in this, so you could argue that a Dolby Atmos track is unnecessary, and I would agree with you on that, actually. So this, I think the DTS HD 5.1 really does fit what this film was going for. I really do think that it is perfect for this. You know, it's not something that's going to take your system to the limits, and there's no reason for that. So I think it works very well with this. I think the visuals were great. The extras, again, this is a pretty new movie, so it's actually pretty limited on the extras. There's really just some interviews, there's an essay on here, and just some on-location footage. That's really all you're going to get on here. Obviously, in like 10 years, if they re-release this with a 4K Blu-ray, I don't know where we'll be in 10 years with technology. It'll probably be 12K. But anyway, when we get to that point, I imagine that's when we'll get a retrospective on the importance of this film once more people have discovered how amazing this film really is. So as far as an overall score for this, I believe that the film itself carries this release more than the actual physical copy of the Blu-ray or the casing and everything like that. I think that this is a great Criterion release. I think you should get it. I would probably give the overall package of this, I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. I believe the film itself is pretty close to a 10 out of 10. I'm not going to give that you know what? No, I am. The film itself is a 10 out of 10. The disc and everything else with Criterion is an 8 out of 10. So I'm going to combine them and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think you should run out and grab this film, but like I said, I believe it's on Hulu, so any way possible that you could check out The Worst Person in the World, please do it. That's a full recommendation on me. And just know you're going to be getting into an emotional movie that I really think is going to make you feel. So definitely, this is not comparable to like Beverly Hills Cop or anything like that. So make sure, you know, you're ready for it. I think you're going to get a lot out of it like I did. I really did love this movie. So guys, as always, I really do appreciate your support here on this channel. It really does help us out. So if you could, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and you tell all your friends.